Even if you spend the same time together, eat the same meals, laugh together, and share moments that warm your heart for a family, that doesn't mean you see your daughter as someone else's child. No matter how many times people say she's your daughter, the remaining traces and evidence are telling you she's not. There are also people who wonder if the whole thing was staged for some reason, or who are skeptical. But since that country is so closed off, this is just one of those stories that makes you wonder what really happened. Misuzu Yamamoto disappearance case. In June 1984, Misuzu Yamamoto, who lived in Kofu City, Yamanashi Prefecture. At the time, Misuzu, who was 21 years old, said she was going to the library. Unfortunately, she never made it to her destination and disappeared without a trace. This is all that is known about her actions before she disappeared. After that, there have been no clues about her whereabouts at all. 20 years later, in March 2004, 17 days after Misuzu Ketsujo's disappearance, her family receives a message that an unidentified body with her blood type was found on the Yamagata Prefecture coast. The circumstances surrounding her death, whether suicide or otherwise, are unclear. The family couldn't accept the ruling that the death was natural, but the body had already been cremated. When her mother saw the clothes and accessories in the photo, she immediately said, "That's not Miho." That's all she could say. Now let's go back about 35 years to June 4th, 1984 at 10 a.m. Miho told her family she was going to the library and left on her bike, but her whereabouts after that were unknown. On June 6, 2 days after her disappearance, Miho's bike was discovered at Kofu Station, but Miho was nowhere to be found. Her second backpack was located on the Niigata Prefecture coast on June 8th. Following this, her family began receiving unsettling silent phone calls. It just keeps happening over and over, ever since Miho disappeared. 17 days later, on June 21st, an unidentified body was found on the Yamanashi Prefecture coast, but at that point it remained there was no connection to Miho at that time. The police searched desperately, but to no avail as time passed. Since Miho's disappearance, in 2002 North Korea admitted to the abductions from 18 years prior, and 5 abductees returned to Japan. Among them were abductees whom the government had not previously acknowledged. Ms. Megumi's family doubted her North Korea abduction, but in March 2003, a year later, a shocking story reached the family. They had seen Miho. Mr. Kwon Hyuk, a former North Korean agent who defected, provided the testimony. According to him, he saw Miho inside North Korea in 1994. He also said that Miho and her twin sister Misa were together. He also commented to Misa, saying, "You are the more beautiful one." The mother's comment confirms the truth and her understanding of the situation. Mr. Kwon Hyoku also commented to others about Miho being in North Korea and gave his thoughts on the matter. The family, believing Miho was abducted, took action. A year later, in May 2003, a police officer visited the home of Miho's twin sister, Misa, and citing the need for future investigations, collected blood samples as reference material for DNA testing. Then, a year after that, on March 4th, 2004, they received a report that the DNA of an unidentified body found on the coast of Yamagata 10 years earlier matched that of Misa's A. The DNA of the body matched Misa's, identifying it as her twin sister, Miho. However, the family couldn't believe it was Miho due to several distinguishing features that differed between the two. Here are the reasons. What should we do? There were many physical features that were different, but the mother was convinced because of the clothes and the necklace. It seemed to belong to Misuzu-san, and the police explained that this body was Misuzu-san's, but their words didn't quite add up. I'm not an expert, so I can't say for sure, but based on the DNA results, I believe that is your daughter. The police made a sudden public announcement that the body found in the mountains was Yamamoto Miho-san, without getting the family's understanding. In that announcement, they even mentioned the possibility of suicide. It seemed like the police were in a hurry to reach a conclusion, as if they wanted to quickly close the case by saying the body was Miho-san and that it wasn't a criminal case, but rather a suicide. The family felt this way. On April 7th, they saw the remaining clothes firsthand. Fumiko-san became more certain that the body was not Miho-san's, as it did not match her daughter's traits. From the sudden blood sampling to the abrupt matching of the DNA test, there were doubts. Even back then, people felt that something was off. Products like pig iron water made in Chiba Prefecture, Japan, are exported to North Korea. There was a distribution route called the Umachi route, which was known as a major route for logistics, this Umachi route. In reality, many incidents and accidents have occurred. Many Zainichi Koreans were involved in this industry. The Umachi route passed through the Shinano River and Toyama. Misuzu-san left for the library and disappeared. Despite evidence of abduction, the authorities downplayed the incident. The country tried to pass off Misuzu-san's death as an accident, however unreasonable that seemed. Miho-san is alive as evidenced by the Konyuke family's testimony and a letter her family received from her after she went missing. There were also silent phone calls, repeatedly, ever since she disappeared. 3 years later, on October 18, 1987 on this day, Misa, the twin who answered the silent call, picked up the phone. Miho asked, "Is this Motoki?" And when she did, there was an answer from Motoki. Despite her mother's desperate calls, there was only silence. Several silent phone calls suggested she was trying to reach out, but the silence persisted. The location where the unidentified body was found is a place frequented by workers from the north. That's right. Because of that, some people thought that this body was Mihoko's, but even so, I don't think it's reasonable to conclude that Mihoko was abducted just based on that. It was announced that the unidentified body was Mihoko, one of the 8 known victims abducted by North Korea at the time. This was made public. At that time, there was a movement to request the return of the abductees and to normalize diplomatic relations between Japan and North Korea, so it seemed that the authorities wanted to avoid publicly announcing new abduction victims. That's what it looked like to me. There are claims that the data on the unidentified body was fabricated, though some say this might be false. The family believed it was an abduction and filed a human rights petition for Ms. Yoshimoto. A support group for the family was established. Many thought the perpetrator was from a specific country, but some tried to hide that fact given the situation. The Japanese police and government were also involved. Even if someone is influential, I don't mean to accuse anyone. I just hope Ms. Mihoko will be found. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video. Bye bye.